fortunate enough over the past few years. I used to own a Mavic Pro, the first version. I've got a DJI Spark, which is a great little quad, and I've also got a Mavic 2 Zoom, which I use for some commercial work, and they're all great. You know, these are just fantastic DJI quads. And well, recently along came this, the Mavic Mini, which I couldn't resist getting one because, well, it's below the whole 250 gram thing, and I'm a sucker, you know. I had to get one to try it. Now, I went for the, let me see if I can pick up all the bits here. I went for the Fly More combo, which, as you can see there, I've got a box of bits, and it's got the batteries, it's got everything that goes with it. And, you know, overall, if I'm honest, my first thoughts when I took this little quad out the box were, I kind of felt a little bit disappointed. It felt, you know, it felt a little bit toy grade to me. But that's, you know, compared to the Spark is a good solid quad. You know, compared to the Mavic Pro Zoom and the Mavic 2, you know, it feels just a little flimsy. And I'll give you an idea here. You can see here how that little stuff flexes. I don't know if you can actually see it at all, but it doesn't take a huge amount of movement for things to move around on this. And, you know, the reality with this is that DJI have had to cut off so much bulk on this quad to make it light enough to fit under the 250 gram that it's kind of not unsurprising, but yeah, I was a little disappointed in that regard. But today I've been out flying, and you know what, I'll forgive it because it actually flies really, really well. It, for what it is, it's very, very good. And you know, I like it enough that after a day of going out and flying it, I'd almost go as far as saying I might actually sell off something like my Mavic 2 Zoom, because the truth is, this does probably everything that I would do with the Mavic 2 Zoom. It's a whole lot smaller. So which one, you know, if I'm going to go on a holiday and take something, this fits in my bag easily. You know, it really is just a whole lot simpler in that regard. And it's quite nice. You know, it's good, but what about the ugly bits? What about what's inside this? You know, the ugly bits, obviously, that wobbles a little bit. It's not, in fact, it's not even a wobble, it's just that the plastic flexes. But curiously, it doesn't do it on the back ones, only on the front arms. So, I guess it might be something to do with the folding mechanism. I can forgive it. You know, some of the items feel a little bit thin. I kind of feel that with the Mini, I'm more likely to break it in a crash, whereas if I go to the Spark and the Pro, might survive a little bit better. But hey, it's small, it's light, it does what it does. The footage is fantastic, and I'll pop a little bit of it up soon just to show you some of the flying that was done today. It's really, really good. Remote-wise, we've got a little DJI remote. It's got the standard, you know, fold these little bits out. And this is actually where some of my other gripes come in, because I happen to use a Samsung S9 phone. And if I were to try and put that in, now you can start seeing the problem. It's a little, it doesn't really fit. And that's a little bit annoying to me. So, you know, I think they kind of just target your iPhone users or anyone. And it just seems to me you might as well not actually put those things on and work another plan, because that's what I've had to do. And in my case, where is it? I came up with a little 3D printed part that I made, and what this does, it's basically just a plate, and it's got another plate on top with a cavity to hold the phone, and then I've got a whole lot of neodymium magnets in here. And what that does, I'll pop it in here. There you can see. Oh, so that goes on there, and magically, because I've got one of those little magnetic 3M strips in the back, it stays on, and I can adjust the position of that. And quite happily, if I can show you, I can hold it and I can fly, and it kind of does everything that it does. So for me, problem solved with a little bit of ingenuity. It works. All up, it flies great. You know, I can't really fault it on the flying. It's superb. I would highly recommend this. If you were just after a simple camera drone to go out and do some footage, this is a good option. It's really nice. It's stable, it's easy to fly, it's got everything you want. You know, in one aspect, you know, and this is another area which I love and hate about it, it uses the phone. Great, app on the phone, you go, you plug, you know, you're not taking anything else. But actually, for anyone who's flown one of these things, you realize that these devices are not actually so good for flying a drone. And the problem is that the screen doesn't get bright enough. And you find yourself sitting there like, get into the shade here, trying to get yourself in a position where you don't get any sunlight on this. Whereas when you use something like a Crystal Sky display, one of the more professional screens, it's just so much better. And it just works. Which actually then leads me to the next area where I just get a little bit of a niggle. Because this is essentially the same as the Spark controller, which is almost the same as the sort of Mavic Pro control. It's all the same basic mechanical hardware. But this device doesn't support the Crystal Sky. And this is just a software issue. They'll allow you to download the stuff on here and it works, but apparently it doesn't work on Crystal Sky, which means I can't plug a Crystal Sky into here and get a good high quality display. So, you know, I guess in the world of commercialism, they're looking at the basic fact that this is, they call it entry level. Great. So we won't provide compatibility with the higher end stuff. But to me, if you just provided that compatibility, then people have an upgrade path. But hey, it is what it is. You know, it's a nice little quad. You know, I'm conscious that I might be sounding slightly critical of the device, and don't get me wrong. The simple fact is, I'm actually thinking, do I need the Mavic 2 zoom because this does everything that I want? But I do also think it could be better. And maybe it's just because I've been spoiled by things, you know, it's good. You're gonna like it. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. But also, the other ones are so much better. You know, so I think it probably is just a case of me being spoiled. Having had the bigger one, this is a bit of a downgrade. But it's a downgrade that I might consider in the future actually keeping and going with it, because what's the point of having a Mavic 2 zoom which I never take out? This one, I can fit it inside my bag with my race quads. The whole thing just goes with it. It's slightly bigger than a goggle battery, sort of, you know, a goggle headset for my FPV racing quads. It's kind of cool, you know, and this really does just answer probably 80 to 90% of my camera photography needs. It does. So actually, all up, if I were to weigh it up, I would choose this over the Mavic 2. So, yes, I'm disappointed with the quality level. Am I disappointed with how it flies and what it does? Not in the slightest, because it is fantastic. It flies just like every other DJI quad, and I can't fault it. So, yeah, can't complain. Now, the other thing, which is quite interesting, Gimbal is actually, I actually think the Gimbal is better than what's on the Spark. And there's a little bit of footage here you can see, and you can see, you know, we were jiggling the quad around and we're going, and the gimbal is just rock solid stable. It's really, really good. I've noticed that the quad doesn't really have kind of, you know, on the Spark, you know, the Spark's got the 2-axis gimbal much like this one has. And on the Spark, when you do tight turns, you could tell you get a little bit of jittering going along. It doesn't seem to happen on this. So either, no, I've not actually checked it, either there's a 3-axis gimbal on this, which may be the case, or it's just got better software. I don't know. I've not actually looked that far, but I can tell you it's buttery smooth. The video footage is superb, utterly superb. So yeah, there you go. Mavic Mini, I quite like it. I think it could be slightly stronger, but you know, you're all built within a price. It's pretty fantastic for what you get, and I think on the camera quad front, I'd probably use it as my daily driver because it does the job. So who knows, maybe I'll have a Mavic 2 zoom for sale up here soon. We'll see. It's all good stuff. Anyway guys, I'm going to pop up a little video just of the flying today from around the airfield. It's nothing particularly special, but it'll give you an idea of what the footage is. Hope you enjoy. Cheers.